Hey guys, TonyCouldveBeen here again. Got an interesting article I want to share to you guys. It's from the Washington Post. The article is entitled "All of This Grief, Prince Harry Opens Up About His Mental Health." I know what you're thinking. What does an Asian American guy have anything in common with a member of the royal family in England, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, whatever you want to call it? I'm just going to allude and read some stuff in this article. Princess Diana, of course, the one who died in the car crash. She died in 1997 on August 31st. That's actually my older brother's birthday, but that's just a coincidence. But with Prince Harry and I, sort of feel like that's not a coincidence. You'll see. You will see. Okay, so it says Prince Harry spent much of the following decade through the conspiracy theories, the endless investigations, and the royal family turmoil, remaining mostly silent about her death. And this is the same Prince Harry who went to the war in Afghanistan, and the same Prince Harry who watched his older brother get married to what's her name? I think the Princess of Wales. Is it? I don't know where it is, but whatever her name is. She's pretty hot, but whatever her name is. Harry talks about his I don't want to say problems, but difficulties with life, where he always had a flight or fight sensation. For those of you who follow psychology, it's basically it's in the article sense, it implies he was angry. He was quote unquote on the verge of punching someone because he didn't like to be the center of attention, but at the same time he didn't like he it's not that he couldn't be alone, it's that he was always uncomfortable, whether it be in a crowd by himself. He would always have like a scowl, like a negative feeling in his mindset. Obviously he didn't show that to the press, but that's when you're in the public eye like that. I wouldn't know personally, but from what I hear, he actually says this. This is a direct quote from him from the Washington Post. "I can safely say that losing my mom at the age of 12 and therefore shutting down all of my emotions for the last 20 years has had quite a serious effect not only my personal life but my work as well." The interview was actually conducted by someone named I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, Bryony Gordon, who actually she hosts a podcast. It's called Mad World: Why It's Totally Normal to Feel Weird. Anyway, she herself, she's running this podcast, and she struggled with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And the very first guest she had on this podcast was Prince Harry. And that's pretty good for starting a podcast to have as your first guest one of the most well-known celebrities in Europe, possibly the world. So I'm looking at the article right now, and he says, I'll quote another thing. Hold on, I'm just reading something here. Okay, never mind. That wasn't important. Excuse me, sorry. I didn't really prepare for this video. I'm just going as I go along. My way of dealing, this is Harry speaking, my way of dealing with it was sticking my head in the sand, refusing to ever think about my mom, because why would that help? It's only going to make you sad. It's not going to bring her back. That's a pretty emotional stuff right there, man. I don't know. He did talk about his time being an Apache helicopter commander, and for the war in Afghanistan, like I mentioned earlier. But he has an interesting take on the war itself. I mean, a lot of the press knew that they weren't gonna put Prince Harry in an infantry position where he might die, because technically he's more important than I don't want to say that, but that's basically how it goes. That's how it is when you're a celebrity, I guess. But you understand what I'm saying, right? Yeah. He says, I can safely say it's not Afghanistan related, Harry said in the Telegraph interview. I'm not one of those guys that has had to see my best mate blown up next to me and have to apply a tourniquet to both their legs. Luckily, thank God, I wasn't one of those people. So when I'm gonna read. Actually, let me give credit to who wrote this article first. I should have done it first. I was just a bad journalist, but the writer of the article on WashingtonPost.com is Katie Metler. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. She says in an article, it was the way he had been forced to publicly grieve Princess Diana, and as a result, hardly grieve at all. That did the most damage, the prince said. He didn't let his emotions be part of anything, he said, and tried to behave like a quote-unquote typical 20-something. And then started to have a few conversations, and actually all of a sudden, all of this grief that I've never processed started to come to the forefront. And I was like, there's actually a lot of stuff here that I need to deal with. And that is amazing that someone in the public eye is willing to admit, there's something going on that's not normal, that's not healthy. I'm going to open up about it, and that will hopefully help him heal and improve so that he doesn't have to carry this burden and this negativity with him like for the rest of his life. Prince Harry does go to say that his brother Prince William, the expected king after King Charles dies, is it King? Well, I don't know this whole family hierarchy thing, but basically he says his brother and his wife, here's her name, Catherine Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge. They were a huge support. That's Harry directly quoting himself saying that about his brother and that'll make her his sister-in-law. I can agree with this statement that Harry makes. I, through a lot of my 20s, was a problem, and I didn't know how to deal with it. Yeah, we're getting to my point here. This is a very good point why I want to point out this article. Okay, so let me see here. Okay, the host of this podcast who interviewed Harry as their first guest, she says she makes a comment about like Harry's situation in general, and she says it has always been a sign of strength and dignity to keep it all inside, and our royal family have always been the embodiment of that. God bless them. But Prince Harry just redefined strength and dignity for a new generation. And Gordon, she wrote, could think of no more fitting tribute to his mother than that. So, something that I consider not so much a coincidence, I think it's very, very much significant. Granted, I'm not famous, obviously not a member of a royal family. The romance of the Three Kingdoms isn't around anymore, I don't think. But kudos if you guys know what I'm talking about that. Kudos. But hold on, let me find this. I'm actually interested. Oh, okay, I know what I put. Okay. So Prince Harry's birthday is September 15th. Pretty close to his brother Harry's birthday, which, like I mentioned, was August 31st. Guess what year Prince Harry was born in? Because he did mention throughout his 20s he had a lot of problems, and he was struggling. He always, I think the quote was, he was always on the verge of punching someone or wanting to. He actually took up boxing, which actually became a healthy outlet for him. Very, very, very astute. I think once he accepted, like that he had issues he had to let out, I think he found that he was able to control his rage by, doing it in a healthy way in a sport, boxing, where it's very physical. You can exert, you can what's the word for it? You could transfer a lot of that rage into something healthy and become in better shape, become a good boxer, which is cool. But obviously he's probably not going to go professional, I assume. You know, maybe it's just a hobby to him. So anyway, Prince Harry's birth year is 1984. That would make him 32 years old. My birth month, day, and year is July 22nd, 1984. So do you think it's just a coincidence that this generation of people, emphasis on people with, you know, mental illnesses, they're not mental illnesses that happen to be a part of people, they're people that happen to have mental illnesses. If you get what I'm saying by that. But it's not a coincidence that we struggled with this through our 20s. For some of us, even earlier than that, part of my and his generation. So now it's becoming to the forefront where he doesn't feel the need to hide anymore. He did the interview of his own volition. Whether he was compensated for it or not, I'm not really sure. It's not like he needs the compensation anyway, but I'm just saying, I'm 32, he's 32. The both of us sort of stepped out of the mental health closet around the same time. I didn't plan this out, guys. Like, someone referred this article to me, this subject, and I was like, I decided to read it, and I was like, wow, this is how people need to think about mental illness. I mean, but what else can I say about it? I mean, we need a change. I mean, like that thumbnail on one of my previous videos, 1 out of 4 people have a mental illness. So you probably know someone who knows someone who knows someone. 3 degrees of separation, 3 or 4, I'm not really sure, that has a mental illness, knows someone that has a mental illness, or is personally affected by someone with a mental illness, if not have a mental illness themselves. I don't know. What can I say? I'm glad this article exists. Excuse me. Sorry about that. You know, it's personal. It hits home. That someone famous is willing to speak out about it. That's all most of us want. All the people affected by mental illness to be able to talk about it without feeling ashamed, embarrassed. But before I get too emotional here, that's what I got. You can look the article up. It's on the Washington Post, like I said. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later.